could you give me a certain sense of what your background has been and where you hail from and what brought you to Oxford in the first place?
Okay, can I ask a question first? Is it okay if I record this on my machine?
Yes. Do I have to give
Good.
you permission?
Okay, so hold on. I have to see if I remember how to do this. Hmm. Oh,
I
this is
can
a
just
different.
send you a full copy if you like.
Yeah, that's just for us to take a look at and see what I could have done better,
Oh, yeah,
all that great stuff.
absolutely. Um, well, yeah, but I think that the idea is I'm very much from the best foot forward school and trying to keep these down to about, I don't know, 10 minutes, something like that, a reasonable time, but, trying to be economical for the viewer. But, back to that original question, what did bring you to Oxford? Where do you hail from and what's your background?
All right, so I hail from New York City. I was born in Brooklyn, New York. Went to City College in New York. Came out with a degree in chemical engineering, Bachelor of Chemical Engineering. Worked for DuPont for 45 years. Um, Traveled, different places. Um, I did operations work. I did technical work, operations work. I did labor relations work. I ran businesses for them. And eventually I became the global safety, health, environmental leader for the largest business at the time, which was 24,000 employees.
Yeah.
So that's my professional experience. We have my wife's college roommate was building a house in Oxford, and we came down to visit them. We kept in touch with them over the years, and we came down, and my wife fell in love with the place, and we decided to buy a house down here. We bought a house in 2006, and we had two houses for 6 years, and moved down here permanently in 2012. So that's how we got here.
Well, and it is interesting how that community is. It seems like Oxford's very community focused. It's a very special community, don't you think?
I
It's not the Bronx.
What amazed me, and it's, I have prepared comments that take about 12, 13 minutes. And we're going through them now, it's to me, when we moved down here, I didn't realize it so much when we came down every other weekend or something like that. But the people of Oxford volunteered to do things.
Yeah,
There are a lot of, there are several nonprofits in town. And what keeps them going and keeps the town running efficiently and effectively are the volunteers and the people.
yeah,
And that kind of sort of got me into the groove of saying, well, I'd like to volunteer. I have some pretty good experience with organizations, small, large, whatever,
yeah.
and I think I can bring that experience to help. So, you know, I can get into that background now if you want this part of this. I don't know if you want to do this.
Well, as I say, it'll be kind of a back and forth, but it is interesting. You can be involved in a community, you can be a terrific, engaged citizen, but that doesn't mean you have to go into local politics. And so I'm kind of curious about the motivation to take this plunge, so to speak, into public affairs in Oxford.
Well, the experience I gained in Oxford, first of all, I became involved with the Oxford Community Center.
Hmm.
And that got me involved with a nonprofit like I've never been before. And I eventually ran the events and programs committee for them. And then I said, sure, I'll get into leadership. And I became vice president and president of the OCC. And I just finished that up about 3 weeks ago.
Uh,
So, and I'm the head of the development committee at the Oxford Community Center. A couple of years ago, though, I said, an opening came up in the planning commission, and I said, I'd like to learn a little more about that. So I volunteered for that, was accepted to that. And within 6 months, I became chair of the planning commission in Oxford,
Oh.
and really got to see how, the issues facing the community at a little closer scale. But I also got to see how government works because
Mhm.
I've never been on the government side.
Yeah.
I think I've been on the industry side, and I had some idea how big government works, but really the nitty gritty of how government works. So I got to see that, and actually got to lead a commission of the town. Then the town decided they didn't have a hiring policy. So they asked for volunteers to develop a hiring policy and practices. So I said, I have employee relations experience. Let me try that. So I volunteered for that, led that group. It was an ad hoc group, but it was very diverse. People from the entire spectrum of beliefs in Oxford. But we had a common goal, and we came up with a good product that we forwarded to the commissioners, and they approved unanimously. The current commissioners did that. So, I'm gaining the experience on and now how to work with people, of different viewpoints.
Mm.
Then the other thing that happened is there's a couple of citizens that are trying to form a citizens group around sea level rise and stormwater management, which is a critical issue
Yeah.
for the Eastern Shore.
Yeah.
And I'm interested in that. I've had the environmental background from an industrial experience. So I said, yeah, I'd like to be involved with that, and was able to get things started with the Oxford Community Center. So married those two, and been involved with the steering team on that. We're really just getting this thing going, and I'm learning how to deal with outside consultants, and what citizen organizations should look like, so you can get the work done, not from a government perspective, but help the government.
Hmm.
So I have, I've inadvertently collected these experiences, and I said to myself, there's a commissioner opening coming up. There's one every year. The person who is currently in that position is not running. I said, why not? And I decided to try it. And I think the experiences I've gained through all of this work, I think is really what Oxford could use right now.
But did you have a tipping point? Did you have an issue that emerged on the town level that you felt particularly eager to kind of engage in
Well, we've had some problems in the town over the last couple of, year or two in terms of uh, factions developing, whatever you want to call it. But particularly with my work on the hiring policies and procedures, and the work that we've done on the steering team for the sea level rise, we've had two meetings so far. We had 110 people at the first meeting for a town of 600. That's pretty good.
Mm.
And the people that came had all different kinds of experiences, all different kinds of viewpoints. But when they came to work on a common problem, we had good, solid dialogue. And I think, that's some of the skill that I've developed over the years, is how to bring people together and have those conversations on common issues. And I think I can help bring that into the town as well in whatever I do. So is it a tipping point? Was it a tipping point? I don't think so. It was more of a realization at some point in time that I've done that kind of work. My work in industry, I did that all the time. That was like kind of sat between two factions that didn't want to do anything in industry, or one wanted to do everything, one didn't want to do anything. And we had to come up with common ground.
Yeah.
And I was able to do that. And I think that my experiences just allowed me to keep that going.
What are the things that you really want to work on? What are your top priorities when you?
There are three key issues in my mind that I think are really important. First one is employee turnover. We have 11 employees in town. As of July 1st of this year, 5 of those 11 will have less than 5 months experience. And that includes the town manager, the town planner, and the town secretary treasurer. So that's 3 out of 4 in administration. The only one left is the administrative assistant. And that's a significant loss of continuity. And then we have a police chief, new police chief coming on board soon to be announced. And then we've also had someone in public works leave. So we've replaced that person. So that's 5 people out of 11 that if they don't get into the groove properly, we're gonna miss services. We're not gonna provide the services that are needed. So you really need to watch that. And I've had tons of experience in the industry with the opportunity for management of change. And I know that got to work with the people impacted to make sure that they are supported, not from an oversight and browbeating, but really just supported so that they feel comfortable in their position and can get into it as quickly as possible. And I think I can help with that. I know, well, I back up. I know I can help with that because I've had that experience extensively.
Okay.
Second issue we touched on is the sea level rise. I mean that's a huge issue. Now we also have issues with flooding. Those have been taken care of by the current commissioners. They've are moving forward. In fact, will approve tomorrow night a plan to put in 4 projects that are already in the budget. That's going to help significantly with the flooding issues within Oxford. So flooding, being taken care of. You got to look beyond that. And the real big issue is sea level rise. What are we going to do about that? And we've done a study that said this is what Oxford's going to look like in 2100, with a lot of gross assumptions. But it's not a very pleasant view if you don't do anything. So we really got to get going on that and change the focus. And that's something that I can help bring. I'm involved with the steering committee. I know how to get things done within the confines of government. I know how to work. I'm learning how to work with outside consultants of this nature from academia. I've worked with outside consultants throughout my career, but to help push this along. The problems are not unique to Oxford, but the solutions may be unique to Oxford. So how do we get the solutions that are appropriate for Oxford, get them on a planned basis so that as time goes on, we can address them.
Yep.
So that's my second project, so to speak. And the third area of concern is our water system. We've 4 or 5 years ago, we relined the main water system going down Oxford, Morris Street. But the rest of the system needs to be upgraded and maintained. Underlying lines need to be relined is probably the best way to go. Water towers need some maintenance and painting. But the third issue with that is that we have 2 wells in Oxford. One of them is low in arsenic and one is high in arsenic. And the way we're meeting the requirements now is by combining those 2 wells. Well, we had an expression in the industry that said, dilution is not the solution to pollution. So what we really should be doing is finding another water source lower, with very low in arsenic, and so we have to start drilling wells and figure out what we can do with that. So I have experience in those kinds of things. I'm not a well driller, but I've been involved with that kind of stuff and water systems. So I think my experience that I've developed really helps with those 3. So those are the 3 main projects, so to speak. We have a lot of other things we're working on. We have only 3 out of 4 police staff so far. We need a 4th. So we need to work on that, and that's being done. It's in the budget. So we have those kinds of things that we need to keep going on.
Yeah. There's been a great deal of commentary, much of it in the SPY about Oxford and the issue of transparency. What's your take on that? And do you feel like Oxford could do more in the area of transparency as a municipality?
Well, I think when you talk about something like that, you can always do better. But yes, I do think so. I have on my website that I will, I believe we ought to post the salaries of the key figures in Oxford employment, just so it's there for people to see. We've publicized it, but put it up there. So I do think that we can do more better with transparency. I think the work that I'm trying to do, that we are doing with the sea level rise, that is intended to really get people involved. And when you get people involved, that's getting transparency. You're getting
Hmm.
input from them, you're getting input from the town. They're talking to each other. They're understanding why we're doing certain things. So I am definitely in favor of more transparency. So yes, I believe we can do better, and I believe we ought to be as transparent as possible. There are limits, but up until those limits, I don't see why we shouldn't be that transparent.
The other thing that was being tracked a little bit was the actual salary of the town manager in Oxford. And I was curious about that on the level that uh, when I talk to other town managers, they say $172,000 is what the market is. This is the reality, even though Oxford is a very small town. You feel like that there's some misunderstanding about that kind of decision on the part of the town council?
No, uh, I was not part of the decision-making process, so I really can't comment on that. But if you take a look at what the manager was doing, first of all, take a look at the job she was doing. She was doing the work of a planner, and she was doing the work of the clerk treasurer. So we're hiring those two positions now, in addition to the town manager. So she wasn't doing just the town manager's position. She was doing a lot of other things and ran a 16 or $18 million project to upgrade our wastewater treatment plant, doing the day-to-day follow-up on the project work. So I think when you want to look at salaries and what people are paid, you got to look at what are they doing versus others. Number one. Number two, we're going to find out whether that $170,000 is really the going rate, because we're in the process of hiring one. So we'll see what that salary is, and that will be a check. I know that there's a town manager in Delaware that was recently hired that was much more than that.
Yeah.
So, and the town is larger than us, but it's not twice as big.
Yeah.
So, you got to look at the total picture, the holistic picture when you try to analyze that. So, to me, uh, uh, I think she was, she was doing the work of more than one person, and we're going to pay that now when we hire the other two people.
Perfect. Norm, we will try to save a little bit of time at the end to cover territory that I didn't bring up and make your case, so to speak.
Okay. Well, I've told you my work experience and my volunteer experience, and just to quickly summarize, it gave me the opportunity to learn about nonprofits and how important they are to the town. And it gave me the ability to understand how government works and how you get things done in government. It gave me the opportunity to work with diverse groups of people to come to a common understanding and a common uh, procedure that we could put forth and that was accepted. And it's giving me the opportunity to work with outside consultants on how we fuse all this together on seawater.
Mm. Mm.
So my experience is the right experience for what Oxford needs going forward. I think I am, not I think, I am the best candidate running for the job right now. I have the experience. And it's just what I said to you. I have all that experience. And I think that I was going to say that, well, in addition to that, I'm a full-time resident of Oxford for 12 years. So I've been here for 12 years. I am retired. I have all the time needed to devote to whatever the town needs to get the jobs done. I'm here, I'm available. And unfortunately, my opponent, we had the opportunity to participate in a League of Women Voters forum, and I accepted it right away. My opponent has declined. And I think that would have been a great opportunity for the people who want to hire us,
Mhm.
the townsfolk,
Yeah.
to take a look at us side by side and look at my experience and what I've accomplished for Oxford over the years, and
Yeah.
my opponent's experience and accomplishments over the years, and compare us and make a decision on who to vote for.
Mhm.
Again, I have the experience. I'm the better candidate, and I really ask for the people to vote for me. So
Thank you so much. And